Alright, so after all this time, I'm finally on a train to a plane to the snow festival. I'm on my way. Okay, so I might as well knock this out of the way while I'm here. One of the most important things I could be doing is getting into the habit of daily goal setting. And not just setting them, also listing them, announcing them, and basically being held accountable for them on a day-to-day basis. Which ultimately just results in posting it to YouTube, things like that. So, what are the goals for today? I guess the usual approach is to look at the long term and then break that into smaller chunks to see what it'll take to actually reach that long-term goal. So, long term, I want to be able to make enough income to be able to sustain my travels perpetually. Not because it's some endless trip to Never Never Land, but because I simply want to be able to have the freedom to pursue the things that I want in life. That being said, how much money is that actually? So, not entirely sure what it, like, in an absolute sense, but the way that I'm sort of looking at it, the amount per month that would be a decent place to start would be about $5,000 to $10,000 per month. That would give me enough to be able to comfortably take care of logistics, travel, and still allow a little bit of, I want to say, breathing room in the meantime. So it's all well and good to say I want to make X amount of dollars to be able to maintain your livelihood, etc. But what does that actually mean on a practical day-to-day level? Well, it could mean a few things. One of the most interesting things about making money is that there's a million ways to do it. The downside is choose one. That's at least what song lyrics have told me. And as we all know, those are obviously always infallible. But, need one place to start. And then from there I can leverage a bunch of other things to be able to, I don't know, hopefully have multiple sources of income so I can scale it even higher and higher. The question is where to start. Well, the thing that comes to mind for me is going to be consulting. Mostly because, number one, it seems like the process of doing it, sharing knowledge, sharing information, is something that I would benefit from doing on a day-to-day basis, because if nothing else, it forces me to go out, find new information, and then share it in an interesting and relevant way. Second, barring things like time zone differences, whenever you're dealing with any sort of client-based services, if you're not in the same time zone, there can be potential logistical issues. You can also use those to your advantage, but being literally on the opposite side of the planet, 13-hour difference, I don't imagine, my sleep schedule will be any sort of regular. But these are sacrifices. That sounds really pretentious. The most important thing. Okay, so it's all well and good to say that you want to do consulting, but what does that actually mean? What is your expertise? What is your area of specialty? And for this, I'm kind of hard-pressed to find an actual solution because, well, I don't have any real skills. So when it comes to areas and fields of expertise, I'm not entirely sure. The most obvious one is probably the least relevant. It's federal student loans, because I worked as a call center agent helping other people pay off their federal student loans. That being said, I doubt Department of Education has much clout with other foreign governments. I mean, it's a model that could be copy-pasted into others, but number one, who the hell am I to implement that? And number two, it's a shit system, don't do it. So, where does that really leave us? The plan, as it sort of stands right now in my mind, is going to be, okay, what do people want? Make a course around that thing. Help people get a good solution to that thing so they can have a workable next step, and then upsell consulting services on that next step. That's all great, all well and good. However, number one, creating a course, difficulty in actually making up the thing, more than any sort of technical difficulty, is just going to be the grit, determination, stick-with-itness to actually sit down and make the goddamn thing. Second thing is going to be, well, then technical know-how. I haven't found a decent platform that looks like it'll be, I want to say, innovative, because, you know, with online courses, just like so boring to watch a lecture and then go through just a few questions to confirm that yes, I do have a brain, and yes, 10% of it was dedicated to listening to you drone on. That's not how I want things to be. What I was originally thinking of doing was taking the format of a visual novel and having a character walk a person through the process. It's just that there are a few different ways I'd be able to do it, and I'm not technically savvy enough for any of them. So there's a learning curve I need to be able to work at. And then after the online course, it's then upselling to consulting services. It's, okay, so you have a problem. You already trust me as a guy who knows things about this problem because you wouldn't have bought from me if you didn't. Now, how about we get on a phone call and I hear what you have to say about it and we talk about next steps, things like that. Again, without a field of expertise, without a claim to fame, it really has no weight. So the first order of business is finding and doubling down on any sort of expertise that I would have. However, another idea, another thing that could be done is well, writing fiction. It's really sort of a terrible idea. Like, if you were going to be writing fiction and trying to survive off of it, normally you would face a lot of issues. However, there are a few things about it that do make it kind of attractive. Number one, I'd be self-published, so I don't have to do that whole get rejected by a million publishers thing. I can just publish. I can go out and say, hey, marketplace, what do you think of it? And if they tell me to fuck off, I know to go back to the lab, try again, create something new. If they say, oh my god, this is amazing, then, well, there's the feedback I need to do more of that. The only real problem, it seems, is how to monetize it. Because who the hell wants to buy your fiction when no one knows who you are? Which means initially I'll have to pretty much give it away for free. And that's fine. It builds awareness, it holds my craft. It's just there still needs to be income in the meanwhile. So that'll have to be more of a hobby. And I guess another thing that's appealing about it is just the fact that you don't have to worry about any real distribution costs. It's, hey, here's a link on Amazon. Click it. It's yours. End of story. I don't have to ship anything. I don't have to do anything else. The product's already there. There's a million infinite copies. Have at it. Let's say hypothetically I didn't want to do the online course because that's too much work. There are ways where I'd be able to sort of jump straight to doing consulting and whatnot. And it basically just boils down to having conversations. It's just that, well, again, the area of expertise. If you don't actually bring any value to the table, no one's going to buy from you. So, the number one issue that I'm having is that since I don't have any, it seems, marketable knowledge base, kind of in a vicious cycle where I'm spinning my wheels, wondering what to do next, while time and finances are slowly dwindling, trickling through my fingers. So that's new. So I'm going to sit with that for a bit and check back in later. So, slight panic that turned out to be absolutely nothing. I was under the impression that I had booked my flight to leave at 12. And so I arrived at the airport at like 11:45, which left me scrambling for a bunch of other things. Turns out, no, I actually booked my flight for 4. So I'm at the airport for like 4 hours, which is neat. Gives me more time to do other stuff. Okay, so what we have here is tempura. I've never actually tried it before up to this point. That is going to be fried vegetable. That is, on the left is fish cake, and on the right is squid. So I'll check in, let you guys know what I think. Okay, so the fried vegetable one was crispy, flaky. It had a little bit of onion in it, so that gave it a little bit of a softer texture. And it was really sort of harmonious in a way. Personally, I think you could use a little bit more salt, so I grabbed like some soy sauce and whatnot. But specifically, that's going to be for the other one, the fish. So this one, the texture was okay. It was just not as, like, you can't replace the feeling of it being piping hot, fresh out of the fryer. I feel like it was a little bit, I don't know, like, if I was getting a little bit more pressure, that would bring it up from like a solid 7.5 to like an 8, 8.5. It was pretty good otherwise. So now I'm about to try the shrimp. This one I'm probably going to say is also pretty good. It reminds me of like, well, you know, those little fish fillets you get from the freezer, except so much better. So overall, pretty good. Would recommend. Okay, so the seat's a little bit smaller than I'd like, but I mean, it's economy, so what the hell. Also, it's Japan and I'm 6'2", so. So, when I made the decision to go to Japan specifically, there was no rational basis behind it. It was, hey, I hate where I'm at, and so I'm gonna pick a direction anywhere on the globe, and then I'm gonna go there. And because I can't go everywhere at once, I'm gonna focus on this and nothing else, whether it makes sense or not. And now I'm here. It seems the same logic will have to apply to any sort of specialty that I end up pursuing. I mean, yeah, I'll leverage strengths that I already have, but ultimately, the direction where I go can only ever be mine. And frankly, I guess I wouldn't have it any other way. It's just that there's a little bit of pressure in not making the quote-unquote wrong decision. But I guess there is no real wrong decision, so long as I stick with it, so long as I make the best of it. So, really, I guess there's already an answer that I've been neglecting to look at, and that would be branding, marketing, things like that. The reason for those specific subjects are kind of numerous. For example, when I was younger, when I was wondering what my major would be in high school, with bright eyes wanting to go to college, the idea was that I would choose something like sociology because I enjoy social science. I enjoy the understanding of people on a large scale, seeing the trends of humanity. Whereas in my day-to-day life, the working with people on a one-on-one basis was foreign and scary. But I can't avoid working with people, so I might as well get an objective look at them. Like a kid sitting on the top of the hill with a magnifying glass at a mound, looking at an anthill, watching them go march single file. The thoughts of any one ant are going to be beyond our understanding and beyond my scope. But when you look at them as a civilization, there are neat orderly patterns that arise. I've also had interest in people like Edward Bernays, people who make macroscopic change in society, the kind of change that, when you don't question it, seems absolutely and completely normal. Only after looking do you realize it's completely contrived and not always to our best interest. For example, why is scrambled eggs and bacon the American breakfast? Largely because of a World War II campaign to be able to save on other foods. Why is it that when there's a person you really want to be with and want to spend the rest of your life with them, you have to present them a specific type of shiny rock made of the same stuff as charcoal? Marketing campaign. The science behind these things that happen in society are fascinating, and so I want to study them. I guess now I'll have to do that now I'll have the opportunity to do that as a way of earning my living. So, there's that. I guess the only question is, what should I call it? If I call it public relations, I draw up antiquated images that will work against me if I try to brand myself like that. If I say branding specifically, like, okay, sure, what are you, logo design? If I say consent engineering, that sounds insidious, like I'm trying to take over the world. And they wouldn't be wrong. It's just that if you want to be able to do things like that, coming out and saying it isn't probably the best strategy. Not right now, anyway. I guess I'll think of a catchy name a little bit later. And in the meantime, enjoy the show. Just touched down in Sapporo. Yet to leave the airport. First, I'm gonna like set up a little bit of shop at the airport. Okay, so here I am. There is nothing but snow and wind for miles, and I love it. Now I'm gonna take my ass to the hotel as soon as I can find out where that is, and hopefully my battery doesn't die in the meantime, because it's like 9:30 p.m. and I know that the check-in isn't like 6, but hopefully they don't close the doors and say, fuck you, you can't enter. So that would be bad, because I mean, like, they have blankets of snow. They look cozy for maybe some other time, just not this one. Checking in. Okay, so I saw a weird ass light in the distance, and then I realized that's a goddamn mountain. Great for snowboarding. That's the hotel. It's fucking tiny. This is where I'm gonna be for 4 days. I think I've been demoted.